What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Ab-Soul was long overdue for a follow-up to 2014's These Days, and even longer in providing an album that matches his skill level. Like I've said in the past, I feel like These Days just wasn't up to par, especially when you set the bar high with Control System. I know people that love These Days, and I won't doubt that there's some good songs on there, but overall as a body of work I wasn't feeling it. So DWTW, or Do What Thou Wilt, is the new album. DWTW, or Do What Thou Wilt, felt very rushed in the marketing sense. Soul had less than a week before the album was announced for a December 9th release. So TDE tried to pack in all this stuff. They released the video, they released the track listing, the single, the cover art, like all this stuff, and it felt like every day you got something new. For some people that's fine, but I think that it was rushed and it shouldn't have been. If they knew he was going to drop on December 9th, why would you not announce it sooner and extend the campaign? Do something to the extent of what Schoolboy Q had. He had all these great videos and just a perfect marketing campaign. So Soul didn't get that, but luckily the music doesn't sound rushed at all. I was invested to hear more about Ab-Soul's DWTW, the creation of it and all that jazz. So I listened to Rap Radar's podcast. I'm not a big podcast person, I just don't have the time, but I decided I had the free time, so I did check this one out. He drops a lot of knowledge about the creation of the album, about how it felt sitting on TDE's bench, choosing some of the guest features, and just overall a lot of great stuff. So I recommend checking that episode out. During the interview, Soul mentioned how DWTW was a woman appreciating album. You can tell when you listen to this project, he holds women on a high pedestal. He even believes that God is a woman. So you see like that statement, and then you compare it to the album, and he was dead on. There's still misogynistic comments throughout the project, naturally, but overall he does achieve what he said in the interview. Now let's get into some of my favorite songs. The intro, Raw, Backwards, featuring Zakari. This is how you start off an album. This is Ab-Soul being aggressive. He's going at Jay Electronica, he throws a jab at Troy Ave, and then a bunch of other imaginary rappers who may or may not have a target on their back. The whole song gives you an idea of what Ab-Soul would be like if he ever got into a rap feud against someone. I think this is the type of record that should have been dropped earlier in the year, though, considering the Jay Electronica comments came earlier in the year, so it's months removed from that. And I know Soul previewed some of these bars at a live concert back when everything was happening, but he didn't release the CD quality of that record until this album. So at this point, I don't think like Jay Electronica is going to respond, and there was really no guarantee that he would have responded anyways, but I do say that some of the lines at Jay Electronica really hurt. He says, "You were supposed to be G.O.D., now you sitting next to King Kunta looking like Toby." Like, that's hurtful. On the record, some of the last few lines are my favorite, and they have nothing to do with the conflict that is throughout the entire song. He says, "I'm not talented, I'm skilled. I'm the darkest knight with the shiniest shield. Would have attended university, but it was silly to me, because the whole universe is just a city to me." Man, those are some nice words to end the song on. Next up on my list, and one record that keeps up the energy that we saw on Raw, is Beat the Case featuring Schoolboy Q. Is there a single bad collaboration between the two? Don't answer that. I want to live in a world where I believe that they can do no wrong. It's one of those things where if we never get a Black Hippie album per se, what if we got an Ab-Soul and Schoolboy Q album? I think that would be something that would make up for the lack of a Black Hippie album. Beat the Case has the energy of previous collaborations that the two have dropped. I listened to the hook, Beat the Case over and over again, and I just imagine Ab-Soul on stage getting hype and the whole crowd is just really into it. Schoolboy Q's verse is good too. He's flossing. He's talking about how when he dropped Blank Face, he had the best album in hip hop out at the time. I like it. I really did enjoy this record. The next record I wanted to highlight is titled Drugs. It features an uncredited Mac Miller appearance. The production is just real melancholy. Then the verses get real self-reflective. I think when you have this beat and then you have these self-reflected verses, they really just work well with each other. They're like peanut butter and jelly in a sense. I think that Ab-Soul bearing his soul on this record was a really nice touch. He talks about how he appreciates his fans and how thankful he is that he has them, and how he loves drugs and loves his family. It's one of those records where you start to worry about the man's health. I think another record on the album that does that is God's a Girl, ? He talks about how he wants to go early and how he should go to rehab, but he's more focused on making an impact, making money. And it's a sad thing to see. It makes for some great music, but you also got to realize that these people are people too. And it would suck if Ab-Soul were to have a shortened lifespan because he was addicted to drugs, if you get what I'm saying. So I like the record, and it is a little alarming to hear some of the stuff that he talks about. Now I wanted to do some honorable mentions. With some of the recent albums that I reviewed, they only had 10 to 12 songs, and so it was easy to pick out some favorites. But for this Ab-Soul project, there was a lot more that I wanted to highlight. And I'm not going to highlight everything so in-depth, so I wanted to create this honorable mention section for longer albums and sort of just rush through a couple other songs. So on that list is Threatening Nature. I love the Raz Kaz nod. If you never heard Nature the Threat by Raz Kaz, go listen to that and you'll get a better idea of where Ab-Soul got the inspiration for the record. It's dope. It's dropping some history, some knowledge, and you should check that one out. Lonely Soul featuring Punch. Anytime that you see featuring Punch, listen to the song. Guaranteed you're going to get a great verse. Punch is not a rapper. He's the president of TDE, but he raps on occasion. And I think because of that, he understands that he can't just do anything whack. I think his pen game is just light years ahead of some people. I'm not saying he's better than Ab-Soul, but there's the potential. There is the potential. And he always shows out on these guest features. So Lonely Soul is another one. And then Huey Knew Then, featuring Dash. It was one of the singles released, and it was a record that I didn't really listen to until the album. I love the production on it, and I love that Dash says this line. He's like, "What's Ab-Soul without the Dash?" I like that. That was clever. So Huey Knew Then is on my list as well. Now I want to get into the bad songs portion. The first one on my list is Wifey versus Wi-Fi. Why is this on the list? I applaud creativity all the time. It's one of the best things about music. And so this record is creative, but it's creative for all the wrong reasons. In no way, shape, or form do I ever want to hear a rapper make an entire verse or a song that's inspired by their dick. And that's what Ab-Soul does. He makes it clear. The first verse is dedicated to that. The second verse is different, but I think I just don't want to hear that. It's creative, but it's not something I want to hear. If he drops a reference here and there, that's cool, but a whole verse, I'm against it. And then there's the B-side record on there, PMS. It features a newcomer by the name of BR3. I like that because he was just spitting some bars. It was a nice little showcase. The last record that I felt wasn't good is the album's outro, YMF, or Young Mindfuck. It's a little known nickname from Ab-Soul in addition to all the other nicknames that he's given himself over the years. The record is cool, but I just feel like it doesn't end the album on a high note. If you want to end the album on a high note, I would end with Lonely Soul, or even The Law. The Law is the one that comes before it, but neither of those really feel like an outro to me. To me, YMF is just a weird song. I get the concept behind it, but then he throws in like these weird lines. He says, "I told my girl I was an alien. She believed my ass. I said, psych." What? What purpose does that have for the song? So YMF has to be on the list. I think the album overall is great, but there are some fumbles. I will give YMF credit because at the very end there's a Bible passage from Genesis that is recited by a woman to symbolize God. And so the lines from the Genesis passage end the album. And I think if he would have just took that part and attached it to any other song that he wanted for the outro, it would be good. So the album does end on a nice note, but it's not because of the YMF song, it's because of this skit at the end. Ab-Soul expanded on what made Control System great. From the knowledge to the history lessons, the production, the lyrics, the concepts, everything was applied for DWTW. We had to wait forever for this album. Ab-Soul said he made like 4 albums in the wait between this and these days. But at the end of the day, if you make your fans wait so long to drop another album and then you finally drop and it's worth the wait, then all of that is kind of forgiven. Nobody's going to be like, oh, it took forever to get this project. No, they're going to be happy that they actually have the music and that it lives up to the standard that Ab-Soul is capable of doing. I would not go as far to say that it's better than Control System, but it's a strong album to me. So those are my thoughts on Ab-Soul's DWTW, Do What Thou Wilt. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, and then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video, follow me on Twitter at @SermonsDomain, and as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, peace.